Welcome to Home Gym History, produced by Garage Gym Radio. I'm Rob from Vintage Weights PGH, and with me tonight I've got Jake and I've got Jason from Man Who Parks in Gym. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rob.
I'd like to think.
I'm glad that you pronounced that. I always thought it was Vintage Weights. So
yeah, exactly. It's Vintage Weights. You got punched in the stomach. Now, PGH stands for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's I've been known my whole life as being very prideful in my city. I love Pittsburgh. I knew from a young age I'd live here my whole life. So PGH.
Cool.
Those who know. But I'm glad to see you here, Jason, because Adam unfortunately couldn't make it. So you're like the bearded Adam.
Yeah. Barrel.
He's got a little different hairstyle.
Plumbing. You guys are
different
plumbing
beard
tonight.
Well, it's serendipitous that you're here because you have a product with kind of your hand in the development of it with bare steel equipment that we'll get to in just a minute. And that product fits in with tonight's theme. Tonight's theme is also for sale. Throughout the years, throughout the history of strength and fitness, what kind of other stuff have fitness companies put out there on the market and produced that may or may not have something directly to do with lifting? Fortunately, your product does have something to do with lifting. So what do you have here from Bare Steel Equipment? It's the ModBar?
Yeah. So a while back, I buy like random parts of things. Sometimes I'll see something, I'm like, I could probably do something with that at some point, or I get an idea for something, maybe make a project and dismember it later and keep the stuff or whatever, kind of a little hoarder, maybe, I don't know. In that, some of the things that I've collected are like a bunch of knurled bar stock and things like that. And I was playing around with it. You get to try to figure out different things that you can do with something and ways that you can utilize stuff so that's not just this pile of shit in your closet taking up the space. And I got to playing around, and I was putting them kind of end to end and whatever, and I put them on like a cable attachment type thing, and I was showing some friends, and everybody was like, yeah, no, that's stupid. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Whatever. I'll just buy.
Very supportive friends that you have.
That is really stupid. What I'll do instead is buy another lap bar and chop it in half so that I can have a straight one. That's essentially what I did, right?
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. I remember you posted that to your Instagram.
Yeah, and it's cool.
And,
I wanted it to like match the other one, and you get to this point when you already own everything that you need, where you still want to like pump money into your stupid little hobby, where you just start really buying things that make no sense and doing things that don't make sense to anybody but yourself and whatever. But
well, for listeners that don't know, Man Who Parks in Gym is Jason's Instagram, and it wasn't like a Walmart special, Amazon crappy lap bar. This was Rogue, right? It was a Rogue, sweet knurled one, and then you chopped off the angled furthest point of it, if you will, to just make yourself a straight lat pull down bar.
Yeah, made a straight lat pull down bar, and about 2 weeks later, Lat released Rogue released their version of it, which it's cool. But honestly, mine's a little bit. I don't want to say better, but it is. I've got I put some lubricated bushings in there and
nice.
UHMW tape stuff inside there. So mine's actually revolves without metal contact. It's actually a little nicer than what theirs is.
Yours is handmade.
Mine is hand modified.
Handmade.
Yeah.
Hand modified in the United States.
Yeah. And it's all made from U.S. parts. But it is, it's nice. It matches the other one. It's got the same knurl and stuff. It's cool. But in that, I was actually on Instagram or whatever, and I saw somebody had made a comment about how it would be cool if there was just a bar that, you could extend and whatever, and then you could just have one. I was like, actually, I have one of those. I made it. I just kind of, toss it to the side because, whatever. And he was like, you should post that. Because it was right after this Rogue thing, and everybody had this idea that I posted this and Rogue saw it and stole the idea. You know what I mean? It's a straight bar. It's not like the first time it's ever been done or anything. And so he was like, you should post that. That way I can get one, right? And so I was like, all right, I will. So I just laid it out. And I made a post that was like, here's the idea that never was, or something like that, right? And explained how I got there and why I kind of abandoned it. And it was one of those, I don't know, I don't have very many posts that I've ever felt like took off. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, if I've ever blown up, it's been because somebody else has like reposted, whatever. And I'm like, what's going on? But my posts don't usually do that well. But this one, it was like immediate. I started getting all these questions from people, hey, did you just weld that or do you this or whatever? And I was just like, nah. And then Sean Donaldson from Bear Steel reached out and he was like, hey, I really like that. And I want to talk to you about making it. And so I was like, all right, I'll take the post down so that somebody else doesn't, Rogue doesn't make it in 2 weeks. Or what?
Step one, remove the content.
And so I kind of told him what my idea was.
Let me put a picture of it.
Oh, yeah,
just one second. So here it is. This is the Bear Steel Equipment ModBar. So you worked up to this point, Jason. You removed, your original idea so no one would copy it, and then what we have is what you see here on the screen. Yeah.
So this is kind of the finished product is kind of a culmination of a think tank between myself, Sean Donaldson, and Matt Pendergraph. We kind of got together and talked about, it's one of those things like if it was just me making it, it might have been a little bit different and the same. And I don't know as much about the actual, I mean, I can come up with an idea, right? But as far as actual implementation, cost of production and things like that, I leave that up to the other guys. I mean, you know what I mean? Like
the business side of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what like that kind of thing costs to make the stock and all that kind of stuff. So it came out just a little bit differently than what I had in my head originally. I'm sure that it works out better. I mean, there was some safety concerns, I guess, with what I wanted to do, which was like a shorter hub in the middle and then different lengths of stuff. And they were just worried that with all that stress in the middle, that it, with the bolt or whatever being there and all the stress of the weight being in the middle of the hub, that it might, cause some concern for those really, really heavy lifter types. So, so what we ended up doing was like the 24-inch section is like the smallest, right? Which is a good size. I mean, it's kind of, Sean, Matt and I are about the same build. I'm just a little bit prettier than he is. And then Sean is like 6'7" or 6'9" or 7'6" or something. Anything like above 5'11" to me is like 6'9". So we kind of found this common ground with where the size should be on it, and so it came out to a 24-inch section for the smallest base. And then you can actually like the hammer handles, the others you can put on. Or he's got some extensions that can make it go out to like 48 or 64 inches or something crazy like that. 48 seems like a pretty good deal. It also works. It syncs up with like a functional trainer, so you could, for the length of it, you could get creative with that. You can put. He offers the hammer handles. You could also use like if you just got some standard D handles or something like that. You can put those on it. You can several different ways that you can utilize it. Hook it, especially like I said, with hooking it up to like a functional trainer or something. You can hook, put the ends on the trainer, clip your handles in the middle, and kind of go to town.
I was messaging with Sean about it, and he made a good point that I was like, man, this needs to be your advertising point for this, that, it's, in my opinion, it's pricey at first glance. You're like, oh man, like this is a lot for a lap pull down attachment. But then he made a good point. He's like, yeah, but I mean, it can do more than, most.
Yeah.
And once you add up the cost of all your crappy ones, then it starts to get close to, hey, I might as well get one really good one that can do the same thing as all my crappy ones. I mean, just over my shoulder, I've got, I don't even know how many attachments hanging on my wall control that really have no knurling whatsoever, and this knurling looks awesome.
The knurling on this, people, I mean, it's the same as their power bar, right? So it's a really, it's a more aggressive knurling than like say the Ohio bar or something like that. It's also it's an 1.25 inches, which is about 32 millimeters. So it's going to feel a little bit more substantial. And then also it is made to rotate, right? Like, which is not new.
Yeah.
But if you've ever used, like those cheap bars that you use like in the commercial gym or something like that, they squeak and shit, and they just
That's exactly what I have, because my lap pull down attachments at this point are just all extra crap that I got during used weight pickups when I was going for like deep dish and stuff, and bought someone's gym, and I'm like, I don't have this one yet, and it's some nasty chrome plated thing that is just generic and squeaks, and it's horrible. So what's inside here on the bare steel equipment?
It has needle bearings, so it actually, I mean, it'll spin. You know what I mean? Like there's no resistance. I mean, a very minimal resistance on it. For that, and that's one of the things. Like I also, I mean, I'm with you. The first, I didn't have anything to do with the pricing or anything like that. Like I said, that they kind of back into that after they, figure out calculate what it costs to build and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, I really think that this is a fair price for it, given everything that it can do. When you start thinking about the value that it adds, the cost of it goes down, right?
Absolutely.
When you compare it, like I've had a lot of people have said, like, I could buy 2 Rogue bars. Like, I mean, you could, then you've got to store 2 Rogue bars. And for me, like part of what I like to do, I'm in a very limited space, right? So whenever I'm solving my problems have to do with fitting a lot of things into a small space. And so being able to break it down, I mean, you can, with the way that the ends are internally threaded or whatever, the idea is with those clips on the end, you can use bands or whatever, like if you're traveling, that kind of thing, clip to it. You can take that thing with you and have kind of a mini workout thing with that.
I'll send it to you, or maybe I'll dig up a picture. I'll make sure, I don't already have it right now, but in researching this episode and looking at other products that were offered, there was a isometric hold product that York, I believe, offered way back in like the 1940s. That's basically that. It's bands on a bar. So I'll drop a picture in here for the listeners. I'll dig it up before this drops and get it to the editor.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds interesting. And comparing it with the Rogue, like I'm not suggesting that the Rogue lap bars are not nice. They are. I actually have 2 of them that don't have any carabiner things on them because I robbed those for other things. But they're not made to rotate. I mean, that's why they're not called that's why they're called a lap bar. Like pulling it is fine, but when you start doing curls or anything at all that like with the ModBar thing, you can hook it, like I said, like your functional trainer, and you can do like torsion type stuff and whatever. Anything that rotates is going to cause friction. The same thing happens like with the Rogue ones. They're not made to spin, so you're metal on metal, and you do get that kind of grinding feel and sound and stuff like that. So that piece is really kind of integral to the ModBar, and it's really expensive to build with that kind of technology.
Well, it's a lot more. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to the manufacturing and build of it, but I would assume it's a lot more involved than just, that squeaky kind of centerpiece that's on the old generic
it's going to
ones.
wear out over time.
Exactly.
You're going to oil it, but to no avail because it's just metal on metal. There's nothing there to soften that.
Absolutely.
But, and then also, one of the other things that I've noted with Bare Steel, man, is they've never been like a value leading company. You know what I mean?
They make quality products.
It's all made in the United States.
Absolutely.
It does. There is a premium for that. And so,
well, and that's a good segue into this episode's, like the meat of this episode, which is just that, this company isn't really a lap pull down attachment themed company, but on the other hand, this is a direct lifting product that you've helped to create here. It's not something off the wall. You didn't make, a knurled handle for your recliner chair.
Well, I do have one of those. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think I just invented something, by the way. But don't tell anyone. My recliner in my living room has a knurled handle. So, what I'm getting at is that, there are direct things over the years that financially really benefited some companies. And when we reach back in history, York Barbell, some of their courses were some of their biggest sales. And I mentioned I'm holding up this leg developing course with our last episode 13, that had to do with the York Iron Boots, and that I worked through over on Vintage Weights PGH YouTube channel and did these exercises. But another thing to think about would be how before York, that was kind of the mode. That was how you sold things. You didn't just sell the product. You also like this pull-em barbell outfit, sold the program, how to use these things, the instruction manual, if you will. And then nowadays, we've got all kinds of athletes that are promoting their programs and things. And this one, as I expand it, this is actually endorsed by an athlete, Beatty. So Beatty was a Scottish weightlifting champion and world renowned at the time back in 1929. This was an advertisement in a 1929 Health and Strength magazine. The wonderful course of great strength instruction is included with the purchase of each pull-em barbell outfit. So nowadays,
YouTube,
exactly. Or if you really want to, you can. I always see on Instagram different athletes that I follow. They're like, come do my deadlift program with me. Send me a message.
Yeah,
and they do all this virtual training and things. But if you go to Rogue or if you go to Bear Steel and buy their bar, it's not coming with a program, is it?
I don't think so. No.
And I'll quiz you here, Jake. Let's go to you. Can you think? I actually do have in mind. There's a modern company that I can think of right now that does have training programs available that sells barbells and sells strength equipment. Can you think of one?
Is it Elite FTS?
That's not the one I'm thinking of, but yes,
that would have been my
they
guess.
do.
I don't know if it would come with.
Yeah, but you didn't recently talk to Dave Tate. Who did you recently talk to, Jake?
Oh, American Barbell?
Nope.
No?
Keep going.
No, I'm thinking of I think like Clinch Fitness, who has like
you're gonna get an email from Chris
resistance
Duffin.
bands. Oh yeah, Chris Duffin. Yeah, but I was.
Programs.
Yeah. So Kabuki has
there's
extensive training.
That's true. Yeah, and all of their advertisement is extensive images of them doing push-ups on a barbell or pull-up.
Exactly. So when I see advertisements like this, and when I see the old York course books, I think of Kabuki a lot. I think of Kabuki Strength and all their things that I'm pretty sure are additional purchase, but still, it's a barbell company offering it.
I think it sounds like if you go to their website, it's clear that that's what they want to be pushing. But it was, it's kind of a message we're still not there yet. If Jake couldn't have thought of that. So
that's true.
They do have, it's they're still a equipment company that probably have some ways to go in terms of if they want to get there as a 1-to-1 ratio,
Yeah. And maybe there's not necessarily with Kabuki, but maybe there's a partnership in the future with something like Juggernaut AI and a company, you never know. But when it comes to really the financials, just like today with steel prices, things like that, York is trying to survive through World War II, and they're trying to survive through the ups and downs of manufacturing, and their course books really helped them out. But the other thing that really helped them out was high protein. So on the left, there's Be Fit to reduce weight, and that was an Ironman magazine. But before that was high protein. It's one of the first, protein shakes in a can. Have you ever heard of high protein from York Barbell?
I have not.
No.
Well, it's a pretty cool history. It was actually developed by someone else. There's some scandal involved a little bit. There's a great book, Muscletown, by John D. Fair, and that's the famous John Grimmick on the cover there. And the subtitle to it is Bob Hoffman and the Manly Culture of York Barbell. And I'll drop a link for this book. It's one of my favorites, but in it, to quote it, it says that when Bob Hoffman, founder of York, found out about a Chicago man, Irwin Johnson, who had developed this small gym for bodybuilders and had this protein concoction, the next thing, Johnson's disappeared and Hoffman's replaced them. And he got the ads going before the product was developed, and then complete with pictures of John Grimmick, who's on the cover of this book. And this is the part I love. And I'm quoting from the book, by the way. He ordered sweet chocolate from Hershey, Pennsylvania company, and was stirring the mixture with a canoe paddle in a soybean flour container. And he was sweating away while stirring and tasting and saying, yuck, no one will buy that, so mix more. So this Murray, the man who was writing about this, is shocked by the lack of scientific process. And indeed, this image of Hoffman sweating over a vat of high-protein mixture with a paddle in hand is a far cry from chemicals, laboratories, and food processors. So that was the beginning, the small beginning of things, is the owner of the company with a canoe paddle just throwing some Hershey's chocolate into some soybean protein until it tasted pretty good.
Interesting.
Now, fast forward, I mean, this pretty much saved the company. That's not an exaggeration. In the book, it goes on to talk about how York was really suffering financially, and high protein became a humongous seller for them. As far as supplements and things like that, Weider, their competitor, all the way up through the 80s. I mean, look at all these supplements. That's the famous Lou Ferrigno, one of their spokespeople for Joe Weider. And they had an astounding amount of products. But Weider, York, when we think about the leading companies today, I mean, we named Rogue, we named Kabuki. What other companies do you think about in terms of leading in this community, home gym community, manufacturing equipment, barbells, weights?
I think you have to throw Rep and Titan in the
Absolutely.
Whether if you want to or not.
So, I mean, just in this one advertisement, there's probably 20 plus different supplements that Weider's selling. How many supplements does Rep, Titan, Rogue sell?
Rogue has like third-party supplements through their company website and stuff, and but I have not seen supplements on Rep or Titan's websites.
But even that's third party. It's not like Rogue logo on
They're
it,
not
right?
making their own
Right.
So, I mean, I really don't know the answer to this. I'm just getting your opinion, gentlemen. Why do you think, is it just specialization? They didn't want to get into it? Why are these companies not tapping into supplements?
I think there's just so many other really strong brands that are there. And like, honestly, it doesn't make sense for like someone like Rep to just make Rep protein.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, if Rogue's still doing it, they're obviously selling them pretty well as far as like a third party. I mean, it's one of those things where people pick up every single month. It's definitely a really good business if you have a strong brand.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what do you think, Jason?
I don't know. I'm just sitting here trying to imagine myself ordering fucking protein from Rogue and Rogue shipping. And I don't know. It's probably, maybe it's like a free ships free or something. I don't know.
I've done it before. Like I've been in like a Dick's Sporting Goods and I'm like, oh, there's protein over there. It feels weird, but I'm just going to grab one while I'm here.
Right.
Yeah. Why not?
Way overpriced, but.
Right.
So supplements, they kind of, at least they connect though. I mean, it's usually lifters would buy those supplements, and there's some equipment that might connect. But then on the other hand, there's also some equipment that very loosely connects to lifting. So I went back through and I looked through some of the old magazines I have, things like that, to try to find, and to compliment you, Jason. I mean, I think the ModBar is a direct, like, I'd like to have it in my home gym. I don't know about the York teeth lifting. This product is from the early days of York. This actual ad is from a Strength and Health magazine in 1940. And it says, do the fascinating lifts that build up neck and jaw strength. And when ordering, you have to send a piece of soft cardboard with your teeth impression, because each one is made specifically. So this was intended to build up your neck and your jaw strength. And you'd bite down on, it's basically a piece of leather wrapped around a metal ring with a hook, and it claims to hold over 500 pounds. Now, what stood out to me is through all of the magazines, and I challenge my listeners, like, if you can find one where someone's actually using this thing, please drop a comment, let us know. But I could not find one picture of a human being using this. And York, notoriously, I mean, before high protein was even given to John Grimmick, he was in the ads for high protein, for example. What in the world would you think of today as far as building up the neck and jaw?
Well, there's a product called Jazzercise or something like that, or it's like
Nice.
a rubber mouthpiece that you like. I don't know. It shows up on my feed every now and again. I don't know what I've been thinking that's caused it to do that, But yeah, it shows people like they're basically like chewing and moving their jaw around. Then there's the iron neck. There's also which is that thing that it's like a halo that you put on your head.
That's the goofy one that Coop's always wearing, right?
Yeah.
From Garage Gym Reviews. Yeah.
There's another one called.
There's strong
neck harnesses. You know what I mean? There's some varying degrees of niceness on that. There are machines and stuff you can do that with. I haven't seen a lot that utilize the teeth though, other than that jaws, whatever it's called.
The teeth is what gets me, because I mean, I have fake front teeth from playing hockey, and I don't need my teeth coming out trying to lift.
Right. Yeah. So as soon as that image showed up there, it dawned on me why the disclaimer at the beginning of this was that got to somewhat friendly.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, we haven't even gotten into some points that I thought might trigger you, Jason. So buckle up, because next we get to shape builders. So the shape builders, if you fast forward to Weeder, and one last thing actually on the neck development, Jailhouse Strong. If you guys follow, Gas Station Ready, hashtag Gas Station Ready, Jailhouse Strong, he's got a product he's pushing now that looks kind of cool. It's a lot cheaper than that big halo neck thing. And I'm blanking on the name of it, but I'll drop
Strong
it.
Neck. Is it Strong Neck?
Is that the Strong Neck? Okay. And it's basically, it looks like a pedestal that you put on your forehead or wherever you're exercising your neck. And then but it has like a 2-inch post on it that you attach plates to. So kind of interesting. I don't do any direct neck training, so maybe I'll pick up one of those and give it a try.
I used to have the iron neck thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was, so I used to have a neck pain. Like it was to the point, like I couldn't turn my head a certain, like more than however. And I'm telling you, man, if I've got a pain, I will throw money at it until it goes away. Like whatever it is, if there's something that promises me that I will get rid of this pain. And so I did that thinking that would help me to get through whatever that was. It didn't.
So not a ringing endorsement.
What it did for me, and I'm not a contact athlete or anything like that. So that is really what they're trying to build the neck strength for and stuff, is for people who do contact sports. So it's not that I'm saying it's a bad product or anything like that. It's just not. It's not something that I would get for the condition or the problem that I had. I mean, the reason why mine stems from holding a mouse all day at a desk. There's a muscle, that middle trap or whatever kind of goes dormant, and everything else takes over. And all of that runs up through your neck, and that's what was causing mine. So the neck flex wasn't going to fix my problem anyway. I just was self-diagnosing instead of, going to a real doctor. So.
I just had this image in my mind of you sitting at work at your desk with that thing on your head.
I did it it was like the most closet workout ever. Do it when my family was home or anything, you know what I mean? I'd keep it hidden, I pray to God nobody saw me in this thing. For me, it was hard because it's like it would throw off my equilibrium. So I would be turning, I'd get real dizzy and I'd have to take breaks because it just,
oh my gosh,
it was weird in that way. But it does make your neck really sore if you, or even more sore when you have so it's doing something good. It just didn't do what I wanted it to do. So, but anyway, sorry, I didn't take over.
Wow. No, it's all good. You have firsthand experience. Like I said, I've never trained directly the neck, so maybe I'll pick up that new product because I do think it's modestly priced, so I'll give it a shot. But these are some years after the teeth lifting. Weeder, this stood out to me because first of all, this is a whole line targeting female audiences, and it was called the Shape Builders. This came out in 1983. This ad is from a 1983 Muscle and Fitness magazine where Weeder offered these various products. The top one doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's like a rope system, if you will. It's called the 5-minute body shaper. I think you could probably exercise with that. That's not, out of this world. It looks reasonable to me personally. It might even be something nice to take on the road if you're traveling, whatever, hook it up, and it's like a pulley system. But then we get to the French glove and the Firmenfuhl, and this is where things go off the rails. So let's go from least to most ridiculous, in my opinion. The French glove and exercise program gives your body that radiant, fresh glow. I'm quoting the ad, by the way. It's a part massager, part buffer. And one side deeply massages and relaxes muscles, while the other side helps to scrub away dead skin. And it softens rough spots. I'm still waiting to hear when the exercise program comes in. But here it is at the end. The exercise guide helps to reduce those dimples of fat that can cling to your hips. So apparently the French glove was claiming to help out with spot reduction of fat as well.
Rub it out.
And it's for those of you listening rather than viewing, it's like a pink glove that looks like it has bristles. Like the first thing I thought was that it was for like doing the dishes or something. Like I would wear it if I was cleaning up around the kitchen.
It's shaped like a tongue.
It is
more
a large cow
like a
tongue.
very large hand-sized tongue than a glove.
I also, it stands out to me, what is French about it? Why is it the French glove?
It's like a tongue.
Maybe. Like a French kiss. Yeah, maybe. Well, now we get to the Firm and Full, and I honestly cannot read the description because it's just too much for me to read. But it looks like it's plastic. It's got like two curved ends to it, and it's a two-piece product. I'm assuming it's spring-loaded. I don't even know how it works, but it claims to, if I'm putting it mildly, it claims to enhance the bust of a woman. And this, again, is from 1983, a different time, a different era, and clearly a different understanding of the human body. It's also claiming to improve your posture, and it comes with a complete plan, it says. And it's simpler than you think, is what it claims, quote unquote. Could you imagine leading companies today selling any products even close to this for these purposes?
Sure.
Is there one out there?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not specifically, maybe not a product that I can think of that specifically says this is going to make your tits bigger or whatever, but like that thing that looks like something I would go find something similar, maybe a more modern version online. Like in like Walmart's exercise area, there's always like stuff that you're like, man, what the hell is this? Or there's still like the springs that people pull apart, that was like a strongman competition back in the 80s or whatever. I can't think of anything offhand that specifically looks like that. But that I could see that being a product currently.
Well, I mean, I think part of it too is that 1983, this is they're trying to target a market of women that I guess they think are not going to be so fitness inclined. And, fast forward, women are, marketed to with everything we named, from Bare Steel equipment and Rogue, you name it. If it's a barbell, it's a barbell that, might appeal to a woman just as much as a man. So, I think it's, like I said, a different time and era where they were assuming that the women weren't really grabbing the weights as much as the men. Moving forward, though, we've got a change in the marketing. The 5-minute waist shaper. Look at that, Jason. You can look like that. For those listening, there's a man who is easily 50 pounds heavier than me and has quite a physique. And he is now using the 5-minute waist shaper because apparently in 5 minutes a day,
he's got like
happen.
Jane Fonda on his back.
Yeah.
She's just hiding back there.
Piggyback ride to Jane Fonda.
Yes. So that ad is not that long after. That was 5 years later. Weider kind of changed things. But they're still, expanded by that point. In 1989, their line of products for women. So this ad is Dangerous Curves Ahead. And now we see, oh my gosh, from left to right, there's probably 15 different products. But I zoomed in and had another shot for you there on screen. The Firm and Full, it's still there, as ridiculous as it sounds as a product. But this time they've toned down the advertising and they leave it up to the imagination a little bit. And quote unquote, the description says that the Firm and Full is an upper body developer that tones the chest area, ... Its name says it all. So I got to say, I think Weider's Firm and Full will go down in history as one of the most ridiculous.
Pretty good.
The one that you talked about recently that is, I would say, for women, that is not ridiculous, that I think is quite a respectful and good product, comes from Apr-May. You know what I'm talking about, Jake?
Up? Sorry, you said Jake.
No, it's cool, Jason. You know what it is, the chest up
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
So
chest up pad, yeah.
the only comparison I would make is that it's primarily for women, and that's where the comparisons would end because, I think Dylan did a good job describing it, that this is a good product that's going to help and going to, be something that is of good to athletes.
I think that says a lot about his advertising and outreach that we all knew the answer to that. Kabuki.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys came in quick.
Right. I was like, I'm Jake. I'll go by Jake.
Yeah. Well, Jason, let's talk about shirts. Shirts are sold by almost everybody. So, Jason, what kind of are you one of those guys that buys the shirt of the equipment that you have?
No, I'm actually the guy that buys the shirt of the equipment that I don't have. Like this, I don't have power or do powerlifting or anything like that, but I've got the shirt. I have I'm not the guy that wears the band T-shirt to the band that he's going to see in concert either. I don't know why, but
that is the golden rule. I abide by that. Jake, are you getting sent shirts? Are you buying shirts?
I typically wear the shirts. Yep, I'm not afraid to wear the shirts. If I buy them, I try and keep them in decent condition. Don't actually work out in them because I don't like to dress up. So I like to keep my favorite shirts normal. So I've always liked to not necessarily the equipment companies, but like Massonomics or Caffeine and Kilo. So I'll typically buy from companies like that as well. I have a few Rogue shirts, Rep, etc.
I have a ton of those Depth Before Dishonor shirts because they're appeals to me.
Yeah, Massonomics, there's a fitness equipment company. Their product, the Drink Spotter, is their primary production, I would assume, but they also produce T-shirts sometimes. So that's definitely one that I have, a few shirts from Massonomics. And when it comes to York, this is their advertisement for their shirt back in 1945. It's the tail end of World War II. Think of the attention you will attract this summer, it says, when you wear one of the regulation shirts of the world-famous York Barbell Club. You got to send your chest size in when ordering. We're not advanced enough yet in 1945 for medium, large, and extra large. You got to break out the tape measure.
Interesting.
And they're $1 each. And recently I saw someone share, I don't think it was from the 40s, but someone shared an old school York shirt that they found at a thrift store. I was pretty jealous. I'd buy one.
Yeah, I would wear one of those for sure.
Yeah.
So, it's a pretty tried and true thing. But on the other hand, something that's not as common that's sold that's not really related to lifting, and T-shirts were kind of my segue there into the not directly related to lifting, would be things that are medical related that aren't supplements. So, for example, this wasn't sold by York, but advertised in Strength and Health was the ugly blackheads out in seconds with the Vacutex. And there's all kinds of quit smoking advertisements. And there's also, the suntan lotion that was directly sold by Bob Hoffman and by York. So the suntan lotion it's best by any test is the slogan. And you get into some of these ads from the 1950s the 1940s, actually. Whoa. You all right? Something happened there.
Is that me?
Oh, I don't know. So here, we'll get back into it. You probably fell off your seat because there's a bunch of constipation ads up now. So it's a common thing in the 1940s Strength and Health magazines. Raymond Van Cleef, he wrote for Strength and Health, but he also produced constipation guidance, if you will, how to conquer constipation. Are you a victim? Overcome constipation. But then York Barbell also had these digestive troubles. This was similar to the leg developing course. They have an abdominal course, and an advertisement for that ab course said, conquer constipation and digestive troubles. Any ideas, Jason, what the heck is wrong with people in 1940s that they're having so much problems with their digestive system?
Nope.
I don't know.
And I keep bouncing back to modern companies that they're not even selling protein powder, let alone a cure to constipation. So, I'm trying to wrap my mind around why is it such a wide reach of things back in the 1940s and 50s as opposed to today. And all I can think is diversifying your product line that, York, Weeder, they're doing anything that they can do to stay in business. So,
well, I think a lot of it probably goes back to a comment I made earlier where like for like gym equipment, especially what they're buying, it's probably just like one thing at a time every year, every 2 years, maybe just once. And then things like this, you pick up every month or every two.
True. Because it's a lot cheaper just to grab that little pamphlet, grab a little booklet. Now, they did have full-length books, and Bob Hoffman famously wrote just a crazy amount of books. There's some speculation in that book that I mentioned before, Muscletown by John Fair, that, maybe some of them he didn't write himself, or maybe a lot of them you could. Yeah, exactly. You can tell that it is his writing. But some that stood out to me that I thought you'd like, Jason, so I included these, were from the 1940s. We've got Sex Technique
like that
by Bob Hoffman. It's the book that you have always wished for, is what it says. And then on the right-hand side, there's another advertisement. When it comes to sex, are you groping in the dark? And there's a second book. Like, one book wasn't enough. He has a second book that he wrote called Your Sex Life. And a whole advertising campaign for that. And bounce it off today's companies. There are some companies today that get a little risque, get a little daring in their T-shirts or in their advertising campaigns. But I don't think anyone directly sells books about, sexual intercourse. So
definitely
it's York Barbell for you in the 1940s. And this is, I'm trying to think of the date. It's this is about 16 years removed from when Elvis Presley would shake his hips on the Ed Sullivan Show. So, this is the 1940s, and that caused crazy controversy. Oh my gosh, he's shaking his hips when he dances. But you've got a leading magazine selling these books. So, it did progress. Eventually, we have another book by Bob Hoffman, Successful Happy Marriage. So if the owners of leading companies, if you're out there, Titan Fitness and Rogue, Rep, I'm waiting on some marriage advice, guys. Like, I've purchased your products. Help me with my marriage. And then Bob, he combined the two. Like, this was the innovator that he was.
Wild.
Yeah. So eventually he put them both together in a 1952 ad that, are you groping in the dark? Then read Successful Happy Marriage. Like, you can combine both of those efforts. Now, this is a call out to my listeners. I've never seen any of these books in person. So if you have some of these books, please drop a comment and share.
There's no way.
I don't know.
Anonymity. That would be really weird. But I have that book.
Oh, I've got the whole collection. My grandfather gave it to me.
Family hand-me-down.
Yeah, it's a family heirloom. The creepiest family heirloom in history. So I think these things, I was thinking about it today. In my opinion, some of it is just the privacy involved. Like you mentioned before with the iron neck, Jason, that thing, when you were working out with it, that was a closed door training session.
No, you might as well be doing like Kegels or Kegels or whatever, like in the public gym. You just don't, you don't want to make eye contact when you got that halo thing on. Like, I don't know. So same thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So, this is not showing up for a seminar where you're out in public and you're sitting in like a crowd where everyone can see that you're seeking advice on these topics. So that was my kind of hypothesis, was that maybe the success of these books and the lack of controversy with them, because I couldn't find anyone railing against York for publishing them, was because of the privacy of it, that you ordered the book, and it even says in the advertisement that it's going to show up in an unmarked envelope. So, you order this book, it comes in secret, you got it stashed away somewhere. It's just you reading a book. It's not like a public thing. And maybe that's why, 15 years later, Elvis was a very public thing on TV.
This was
became an outrage
of the 1940s or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that takes us from relationship skills into just kind of random skills like voice training. So York also offered some voice training. And along those lines of randomness, I've got a little test for you here coming from an advertisement for bodybuilding discount that ran in a Muscle and Fitness. When you look at this ad, which one of you first can find the thing that doesn't fit?
The recliner.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it, Jake. So for those listening, there's pretty, for the 1980s, acceptable things. I think actually some pretty advanced things. You got like a cable crossover machine, a power rack. It's a not bad bodybuilder discount outlet. But then you've also got the Panasonic massage lounger. And I have no idea why.
You know, for recovery, maybe I could get that.
Maybe.
That's almost, or not almost, that is more important than the workout you do is your recovery. So
True. So then what kind of recovery things are current leaders in the industry putting out there? Because off the top of my head, I can think of some.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those. Like the mobility WOD types, they make a bunch of different. You can get like a knurled bar stock that you can rub on your muscles, or the what are those hypervolt things? You can still buy. Yeah. You can probably still buy that Panasonic massage lounger. You can get, get these saunas on like Amazon or whatever that are inflatable, and just you zip, or not inflatable, but you get into.
I've seen those.
Oh, okay.
Bodies in a steam sauna or whatever. You can get like an infrared version if you're, really bougie with it or whatever. There's all kinds of recovery stuff, man. I think every company is carrying something. And if they carry a device, then they have a device that goes with the device that somebody else carries, right? Like I think Apr-May has. There's a thing called Monkey Mount or whatever that made for recovery devices.
The massage guns, right? Yeah, and Adam brought up, what was the thing he brought up recently, Jake? To get your psoas.
Oh. Right.
The So Right.
Yeah, the So Right. Yeah, so there's whole, that's like a company in itself, right? That's producing
that. I'm
that.
By that thing too, because like you see those videos of people that are like, it fucking hurts, right? Like it hurts.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate yourself for doing it, but if you do it, you're gonna like it and whatever. I'm like, I would like to know what that means.
It seems gnarly. It
does
really
not
does.
look like something that I would have like the perseverance to get through and be one of those like success stories with it. I feel like not get through that initial moment of like, what am I doing? It's like yoga, right? Like everybody, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it where I'm like, I should do this more. I do feel better, or whatever, but I just can't get through that initial part of it that sucks.
Well, I would give it a shot. But I mean, I'm pretty basic. I got like a cheap foam roller. I bought actually the most involved thing I have is I bought, after watching one of those CrossFit documentaries. I don't even do CrossFit, but I just was bored and it's entertaining. Your dogs love it. So after watching one of those, I saw like a stem, like electric stem kind of thing that you could use yourself, that when I was in physical therapy they used. I was like, oh, I can buy one of those. So I bought one off Amazon. Yeah. I love this thing. It was only like $30. It's amazing. I love it. So that's probably the weirdest thing I have for recovery.
It is a weird thing. And it doesn't do recovery, but it still makes you feel like you're doing something, Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like it helps. I don't know. Maybe it's just all in my head.
I think it does something, like whether if it's like a hormone release thing that kind of like eases pain, or something. It's temporary, but it's better than, taking a bunch of meds, I guess.
Well, I think at the very least for me, it feels nice in the moment. So like while I'm laying on the couch watching TV and it's buzzing, and for those that don't know, it's like these little pads that you stick on whatever muscle's sore, and then it basically makes your muscle contract. And so I'll use it on my lower back. I'll use it on my legs, whatever. And it feels nice in the moment. So whatever.
You don't have to spend a lot of money on them to get is good. I say that it's the pad, really you can get one that comes with some pads, and they're cheap enough where you could probably just get a new one every time you need new pads. You know what I mean? But
yeah. Well, hey, this Panasonic massage lounger, 1993. Yeah. So 1993, almost 30 years ago, was $995. That was the base price. If you want the tapping massage mode, you're gonna have to drop almost $2,000. Which I don't even know what the equivalent of that it would be today, 30 years later.
Those massage lounger chair things that they sell at Costco are like $10,000. So maybe that's the change rate.
There you go. Maybe you're going to see one of those in my gym pretty soon.
Have one. I'm at that age where I'm comfortable enough with myself where I would be like, I'll put that in my living room and not care. But my wife's like,
heck yeah,
it looks like a space chair, but whatever.
Yeah. So now let's keep with the randomness of this, which now that you pointed out recovery, maybe it's not as random, but it just stood out to me, like all these weights and equipment, and there's a freaking massage lounger. Is there, what can you think of that is at best loosely connected to their main product line that a current company might sell? And this isn't to insult the products, because a couple of them that I have already, locked and loaded here, I actually think are pretty cool. And I purchased one just 2 days ago. One of them that I'll show you.
There are some of the images that I can't see what they are, but I'm going to guess that it's maybe one of the bigger. I don't know. I'm going to go with that calf raise machine just because I want to point out.
Oh, sorry, you misunderstood. I don't mean on this image. I just mean modern day companies like, does Rogue make anything that is really not fitness related? Oh. Does Rep, does smaller companies, does Bear
Titan makes desks.
Yeah, Titan makes like office chairs and things.
Barbecue grills.
Yeah.
Who does?
And like trailer parts. And like
it's like their second business, Or I don't know if it's their first or second business.
It is portfolio diversification to a T, and it's probably a really great business model. And I'm sure that when the garage gym boom starts to fail, they'll be able to lean. Everybody will be driving tractors, and they'll sell their tractor parts or whatever they are. But like they do sell a lot of things that are not fitness related. Rogue makes things that are not fitness related. You can buy like a 28.5 millimeter knurled bottle opener, and you know what I mean, or like a dog collar with Rogue stamped in it or something like that. And I didn't mean to say it with that tone, as if it's, but you know what I mean. So
here's my favorite. It's not for sale anymore, but 2021.
Right. Yeah,
you could get yourself a deep dish cast iron skillet from Rogue, and now it's been a year and a half. I don't know, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't get one. It does look kind of cool.
I feel like that was. I feel like this is one of those products where I should probably keep this to myself, but I feel like products that I see like that. Like I see something, like for example, I see maybe an influencer, social media influencer, do a video of something like, I don't know, cooking pancakes on a deep dish plate or something like that come out, and I'm like, you losers. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I start getting really weird about like the kind of influence that people can have on social media and influencing a market and creating a product like that. You know what I mean? And somebody paying $200.
Well, the thing that I love about that, Jason, that you brought that up is I remembered this, but then when I went to Rogue to find an image, I'm like, oh, I guess they don't make it anymore, right. The cast iron skillet. So then I just went to Google Images and typed in like Rogue deep dish cast iron skillet. And I had to dig to find this image because everything that came up were all these goofballs with actual deep dish Rogue plates making pancakes and waffles and all kinds of stuff. Cornbread. There's a cornbread article and recipe and video.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And I thought to myself, like, I don't know, like the coating on there, that can't be healthy. Right. Like that doesn't seem legit.
Crazy town.
Yeah, I'm not eating anything cooked on an actual deep dish plate. And I mean, I love deep dish. I'm surrounded by it, but I'm not eating out of it. So that one stood out to me. One that I just bought is right here. I mentioned last episode belt-fed strength, and then 2 days ago, I couldn't resist. I don't know.
That's cool.
I need a good gym mug. I drink coffee in the morning. I bring bring it down to my gym. I love their logo. It's like the old strongman, you know.
I like it. I'm into that. So, with Belt Fed, it makes sense because he's a leather worker. You know what I mean? Like, probably makes chains and all kinds of shit that are. You know what I mean? Like that to me makes a little bit more sense. But I guess in that same light,
absolutely.
Somebody would say, well, they are iron workers and iron skillets are iron, and you know what I mean. But whatever.
I kind of like your handmade, hand modified in the United States. Well, this is handmade at least, by the leatherworking of Chris and Randy. So I'm excited to get mine.
That's pretty cool.
I'll be bringing it down to the gym. These guys, this episode will drop a little late for it. This will come out probably the first week of January. But, it's that time of year for Gainz Christmas ornaments.
I like those.
Did you guys ever see these?
I have not seen those specifically, but I have seen miniature plates and dumbbells and kettlebells and barbells and stuff.
I may have received these as a gift, and
nice.
They're pretty nice. Yep.
Well, the thing to give Mike at Gainz some respect here, the thing I like about the Christmas ornaments is that it's something that he has the ability to do, because these are wooden, and his jack stand that he makes, deadlift jack, has a wooden base that then he uses. I don't even know if he's going to be mad at me that I don't know this, but if it's like a laser burned in there, I don't even know the machine that burns it in there, but he's put up reels before where it's putting the logo on it. And now, to mention again, Matt Pendergraph was all enthusiastic about the guitar going on it. So I think he got the very first one that Mike and Gainz put a guitar kind of
I think so. Yeah,
burned into it. So I think it's kind of neat. He looked at the equipment he had on hand and came up with something that home gym owners might enjoy. And, he puts them out at least the last 2 years. I remember seeing them around this time. But along those lines, anything else you guys can think of that someone's putting out that is also for sale, the theme of this episode? And if not, it's okay, because all I could come up with were Gainz and my new Belt Fed mug.
I think, one thing you mentioned, like T-shirts, banners are pretty popular.
T-shirts,
banners, very good.
Stickers.
Those things are all pretty popular. I feel like right now, today, it's those freaking mag pans, everybody. Every company has a mag pan. I know that's like lifting related. But it's like, also this company makes, also this.
Yeah, one company figured out how easy it was, so everyone's like, okay.
For them,
there was,
you know what I mean? Like, so.
Trying to think who it was. Oh, it was Surplus Strength. Surplus Strength had a reel on Instagram of making theirs, and I was pretty impressed when they were hammering in like the magnets. I'm like, oh wow, this a lot more work kind of went into that thing than I thought, because I thought like, whatever, it's just like a little pin, can't be that much work. And
it's almost,
the reel was effective. It worked on me.
As much work as it took Jake to put the non-speed pin.
Yeah,
love it.
Well, you bring up something that I looked over it, but banners are huge. And I think banners, kind of like T-shirts, are ingenious because, companies have convinced consumers to advertise for them in the social media age where they're posting.
So it's funny that, like,
genius.
I don't know if you probably, I've got one banner up there, and it's just, it fits the space so well, but it's hidden behind the lawnmower and all that stuff. But I actually don't have any banner. I used to have. And kind of like you just pointed out, they've convinced people to advertise for them for free and whatever. And I'm like, I get to this place where I'm like, you know what? None of these fucking people would even give me a like. If they happen to stumble upon one of my posts. Fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, I took them all and sent them to somebody. So.
Well, you see my banner. I'm advertising for myself. Vintage weights. As you put it. Vintage weights, PGH.
Like I had mentioned earlier, I'm trying to like minimize and stuff and get some of the clutter out and whatever. And banners were one of them. It was one of those things where it was like it's kind of like tattooing. I don't know if you guys are into that, but you do this thing where you get a tattoo and then you start seeing all this like open skin that you're like, I need to fill all that in. Just anything that would fit a space, had to be covered. But yeah.
I mean, with things I support, I've thought about getting more banners because I don't have much room, to be honest. I have plates and bars and stuff hanging up all over my walls. But for the couple spaces I do have a banner, I've thought about it for smaller companies, especially that I support, that I'm into. So Obsidian Ammonia, for example, has a really cool logo, and I love their stuff.
Right.
So I'll probably pick up one of their banners and put it up somewhere. There's this guy, Garage Gym Experiment. Who knows? Maybe I'll put up one of his.
The only thing I have are these massive 3x5. So I'm like, I don't want to say, hey, I'll send you this, but I don't expect them to put a massive one up. I'll get some smaller ones in the future.
I had a space for one 3x5 at one point whenever I had my rack on that wall. And it's like the hardest thing for me to decide. It was like I was picking my kid's name or something. Which five spaces, you know what I mean? Hate got it for a while, and then I took it down. But whatever. But yeah, that was a difficult decision.
It's hard.
Well, you mentioned the big pile of crap sitting around your gym. That's what I'm doing right now. The couple banners that I had before I started hanging so much up on my walls, I took them to the garage because I lift in my basement. My garage is like my workshop where I restore weights and stuff. But it's also where we store, my family. I have a family of 6, and we keep Christmas decorations, whatever, in the garage. So I was like, oh, wait, instead of these videos with my random crap behind me, I'll just hang that Massonomics banner or whatever it is I've got out there. So that's my new thing with the banners I had is they're going up over the storage bins in the garage.
Cool. I guess I said I had one banner. I've got 2. I have one on the underside. It's a flag, rather, on the underside of the shelf thing that the lawnmower sits on, and it's really there to catch the grass droppings as they fall down to keep the floor. I do have that there.
So I think that's a gym hack, for all you vertical lawnmower home gym hangers. Hang a gym flag below to catch the grass trimmings. If you're listening and you don't know, one of the first things I learned about Jason was that he hung a lawnmower from his ceiling to free up some space in the gym.
Yeah. So my neighborhood has an HOA that there's some weird rules, right? I understand making it so that you can't build a building in your backyard or whatever, right? Or if it's maybe has some height restrictions or something, so your creepy neighbor that's looking over the fence can't see something, But we can't have. They said we can't have any outbuildings, and so I tried to buy one of those things that was like a plastic. I mean, it's basically, I think of a giant Tupperware, right? It's Rubbermaid. It's a big plastic thing. You put your trash cans in it, or
I have
something
one
like
of those.
that. I could put my lawnmower in and free up that space. They wouldn't let me have that. And I was like, so you're saying you would rather just see my dumpsters than a thing where all the things that I would put in it, you'd rather me just pile that shit in my backyard? And they're like, yeah, we can't have any outbuildings or whatever. And I was like, okay, so that was my solution there, was to put that thing on the ceiling because, it's a huge, I don't know why I have such a big lawnmower. This is my last year for it. I'm waiting for spring and I'm selling the lawnmower and I'm outsourcing that job because I don't, I don't know what I'm going to do with that, hoist.
I feel like it's a staple of your gym.
Yeah, it's just a decoration now. I mean, it's basically 9 of my 10 barbells that never get used. You know what I mean? It's like the other.
Yeah. It's collecting dust.
Just part of it. All the character.
Hey, you're talking to a guy who has 5 York split sleeves on the wall right now that are essentially the same barbell. They just have different dates on the inside of them. But I don't know. The heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Sometimes it's the heart. Sometimes it's the impulse. Whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way to wrap up this episode, is that a lot of the things we mentioned were probably, those weird impulse buys, oh man, maybe I would lose some weight if I buy this constipation manual So, it's exactly. Exactly. So, hey, it's also for sale, and I'm sure that companies will keep selling things in the future that are not fitness related, and we'll probably keep buying them. So, hey, thanks for being here, Jason. I appreciate it. I really, I hope to meet you in person soon. And Jake, where in the world could I meet some people in person from the home gym community?
I don't know.
If only there was a convention.
Stumped me.
Home Gym Con, that's where. So the first convention of its time. That's right, you heard it here. Remember the word vintage, because you could save 10% on your tickets to the very first Home Gym Con. So in beautiful French Lick, Indiana, come to the resort, renowned for such things as conventions, and enjoy meeting people in person. Video chat's been fun. I enjoyed chatting with Jason tonight. I learned some things about his new product, the ModBar, available for purchase now at Bear Steel Equipment. But I'd like to see him in person. And Bear Steel Equipment, if you haven't, please reach out and come to Home Gym Con, because I want to see the ModBar.
You should also
person.
Maybe if you brought the French glove to French Lick.
Oh, perfect. Please, Weeder, would you please bring some of your vintage French gloves?
I've got some.
They are vintage.
Skin I need to slough or whatever it was it said.
I don't even know. It was two-sided, so I think you can whatever scrub your ankles.
Versatility of it back then, even so. Well, man, again,
it's the mod glove.
Thank you guys. Super cool, humbled. I don't know how you got to the bottom of the barrel, but I'm glad you found me at it. So again, anytime, man, I appreciate it. So thank you.
And please, listeners, follow Jason at Man Who Parks in Gym with a bunch of underscores.
These dogs have been right here the entire time. I promise I haven't been like touching myself or anything. It's just been.
Thank you for clarifying that for our viewers.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to edit out.
All right. Hey, have a good night.
All right.